Hi folks, this is Professor Bourne here to offer you a few thoughts on verbs. We're going to be studying that crucial component of sentences. Every sentence has a main verb, and we want some insight on how to spot them. Now we can describe verbs generally. The verb of a sentence either expresses the action that the subject is doing, or it links the subject to words that describe it. Oftentimes, when we first learn about verbs, we learn about it being an action word, and that helps us with a lot of verbs, but it's important to hang on to the idea of linking, because that's going to help us in a number of situations. You're going to see that there are three sorts of verbs. We categorize them as being action verbs, things like throw, speak, walk, that things or people do. There are helping verbs, short verbs that act as kind of partners with action verbs in sentences. And finally, there are those linking verbs that connect a subject to some words that describe it. Let's look at a couple examples. In the sentence, the snow melted in the spring rain. In this sentence, we have an example of an action word, of something that something did. And in this sentence, it's the word melted. This is what the snow did. The sentence is a little more tricky. I have slipped on the ice many times. Now we spot that word I at the start of the sentence, and that is a subject pronoun. When it's the first word in the sentence, it's a pretty clear identifier that it's the subject. But what is it that I did? Now slipped is kind of the clear action word, but notice that we need a helper with it. You wouldn't simply say I slipped on the ice. We need that I have slipped to indicate the proper sense of time in this sentence. So our verb here is actually both of those words have slipped. And for our last example, I am happy about the change in the weather. A lot of students get thrown off by a sentence like this. They want to look at that word happy and think about it as being a verb. And maybe it's just because nothing else really looks like a verb. I is a pronoun, weather is a thing. Maybe we're tempted by change, since that is used as a verb in some situations. But the word the is right in front of it. Like we're declaring a thing. And we're using it as its noun form right here. The verb of this sentence is really brief and small and tiny, and it's hanging out right next to our subject. It's the word am. Am is one of the most basic verbs in the English language. All the forms of to be, is, am, are, were. Those are some of the primary words we use, and they express existence. I am. Here, it's acting as a linking verb to connect the subject, I, to a word that describes me, happy. Happy is an adjective. It describes a mood. It indicates kind of a quality of how I am feeling right now. And it doesn't tell you what I'm doing because of my happiness. The verb in the sentence is that short and simple, am. If you're looking for more information on the subject, I definitely recommend you get more familiar with the common helping and linking verbs. There are not too many of them. If you're struggling to spot them in sentences, just a little bit of focused memorization can help you out a lot there. In the wide world of verbs, your biggest category is the action words, and thankfully those are a little easier to spot. If you can add these helping and linking verbs to the verbs you can spot, then you'll do